I'm Josh Hosier, and welcome into the Southern Chautauqua Section 6 High School Football Preview Show. Today we will focus on three teams in Southern Chautauqua County: Southwestern, the Trojans in Class C, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton, and the CSP Wolfpack. Turning our attention first to the Southwestern Trojans.
I'm here at Southwestern with Coach Jake Burkholder. Coach, thanks for taking time for us today.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you coming out.
A couple questions for you. Last season, Southwestern was able to go 7-3 and 5-1 in the C South. What has to happen for your team to be at that level again this year?
It's just the little things. I mean, our division is always really competitive. We've got 3 or 4 teams fighting for that top spot. So going 5-1 and in league and not coming out on top is tough. So it's just those little things, attention to detail. Kids buying in, and we got 23, 24 kids here tonight, which is awesome for off-season stuff. So that's what it takes to make a difference.
Absolutely. Jamison Walsh is the type of talent that's not easily replaced. Who is going to need to step up for the Trojans this season to fill the shoes of your seniors that have graduated?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a ton of kids the last 2 years. We had 24 kids in the last 2 years graduate. So it's something that we've become accustomed to, of having to replace people, but it's a team effort. I mean, we end up moving kids around from line to linebacker and DB to safety, whatever, like all over the place. So it just takes kids buying in, like I said, and getting in the weight room, and kids hit growth spurts, and there's always somebody that steps up.
Absolutely. Looking at the schedule for this season, I see a huge Week 3 matchup with Salamanca. Do you see that game as a measuring stick for how your season is going to turn out?
It's definitely an important game for us. I mean, that's early in the season, so we don't want to get too high or too low off of a game that early. But that's definitely one that we are always looking forward to. It's always a great game against Salamanca. We've traded blows the last 3 years back and forth, so it's been a good one, and looking forward to playing them at home this year.
Absolutely. Lastly, as you work through camp and prepare for your first game against East Aurora, what has been the most promising thing you've seen? I know it's early on in conditioning camp, but what's the most promising thing you've seen from your team so far?
Just young guys stepping up into leadership roles. It's awesome to have some sophomores. with having a modified into a varsity program and no JV. That's a big change for those kids, and for them to step up as sophomores, the young guys on a varsity team, and show some leadership skills and be the first ones here and the ones putting in extra work. That's awesome. So a lot of kids are going to feed off of that, and not want to get beat out by a sophomore. So they're going to push themselves a little bit.
That's for sure. Hey, Coach, thanks for your time. Yeah. Best of luck this season, and we'll be catching up with you later on this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We want to thank Coach Burkholder for the interview, and we'll start right where he kind of pointed us to, and that is, hey, last year Southwestern was 5-1 in league, 7-3 overall. They were a very good football team, but it wasn't quite enough, and that's the goal in the program. There is that they want to get the Trojans to that next level, and so they're going to continue to work at doing that. They'll have to do so without quite a few people who have left the program, either by graduation or one by transfer. Jamison Walsh, the senior leader of the program, he was one of their leading tacklers. He was their quarterback at times. He was their running back most of the time. And, he's a Division I baseball player and was a very, very good football player. He's hard to replace. Declan Kennedy is another one that's going to be very hard for Southwestern to replace. The transfer that I alluded to, that was Tavio Hoos. He is transferring to St. Francis for wrestling and will not be back with the Trojans this season. They lose their leading tackler by losing him. And so that's another big loss beyond the seniors. Some guys are already in roles where they'll just continue to contribute and continue to be leaders. Brody Larson is one of them. He was the team's second leading tackler, and he's a very talented athlete. I think he will have to be the defensive leader this year, as every other, I think their other top 6 tacklers have all graduated or transferred. The next best tackler left after that, statistically, is Braden Potter, the junior. So they will be very young behind Brody Larson on the defensive side. Moving to the offensive side, Hayes returns at quarterback for Southwestern after throwing for 963 yards last season, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Owen was hurt for the CSP game and didn't play in that game, so Jamison Walsh started at quarterback. And there was a noticeable difference between that game and what I saw the rest of the year from Southwestern. Owen Hayes is comfortable in the pocket, can run with the ball. He should be the leader of this team on both offensive and defensive sides of the ball. As we mentioned Brody Larson previously, he'll return as the top rusher behind the now graduated Jamison Walsh, so he'll have to step into those kind of heavy lifting shoes from the running back core. Owen Hayes is also there as a senior running back as well. Southwestern overall, they're going to be good. They're going to be a very talented group, but they're going to be very young. And taking a look at the C South, Salamanca is reloaded. Portville looks pretty tough yet again. And Faulkner, Casadega Valley, Maple Grove, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton, who we'll get to later in the program, they're ready to make some noise. They want to get up there and compete. Southwestern is going to have to fight them off and then find a way to be competitive with Portville and Salamanca if they want a shot at the C South. Now we'll move on to Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton, another C South school. Went out and met with Coach Gibbs. We'll get to that interview in just a second. Chautauqua Lake comes off a 4-6 season, and, they continue to show improvement year after year. Chautauqua Lake is trying to build a program that is competitive with the likes of Salamanca and Southwestern in the C South. And that's no easy task. The good news for Coach Gibbs and his team is that they really only had a few seniors last year. Jordan Jocelyn, the senior running back, he's gone. But everybody else, all the younger guys are back and ready to compete, and they stay a young team. Braden Gibbs will be their junior quarterback. He threw for 1,400 yards last year, had a really high completion percentage rate for most of the season. He's back, and he'll be leading the way for Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton. Leading in the backfield should be a bunch of returning guys. Clayton Smith will be a junior. Carson Fairbanks will be a junior. And so this team is young, but pretty talented and kind of an up-and-coming, it feels like an up-and-coming team. Defensively and on both lines, I'm told by Coach, Mason Maring anchors the team. I watched some film of him defensively. He wreaks absolute havoc. And it's fun to watch a guy like that get off the ball, get penetration into the backfield, and absolutely disrupt the other team. If he improves in the offseason, via weightlifting and just, getting better, it could be scary to watch Mason Marion just absolutely tear apart some offenses. So I'm very excited to see what he can do this season. Trent Hauser is another one that's going to return as a junior this year for Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton. He was their second leading tackler last year. And Asher Olson was also coming back. He'll be a junior. He was their, third leading tackler last year. So they bring back quite a bit of talent. They're going to be, I would say, more mature than last year as a team. And going from a 4-6 record, finishing 6th in the C South, they're going to have their work cut out for them with Salamanca, Southwestern, Portville. So it'll be interesting to watch and see if Coach Gibbs can navigate his team to a playoff berth. And we're going to go out to Chautauqua Lake and talk to him now.
I'm here with Ryan Gibbs, the head coach of Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you taking the time out tonight.
So we're going around doing this preseason showcase, this kind of a preview show, and just asking some questions, getting to know some of the teams in the area.
Okay.
Chautauqua Lake last year went 4-6, and it was a really young team. They showed a lot of signs of growth and improvement. What was the biggest lesson that your young team learned last season?
Yeah, I think at the end of the year, right, we played Fredonia, ended up going to Roy Hart and finishing with a win against Silver Creek to put us into the Funk Bowl playoffs. Went to Roy Hart, got a win there. Ended up finishing with Fredonia here. I thought the biggest thing is they realized the depth and the weight room. All of those things, right? When you're playing against teams like Salamanca, Fredonia, Southwestern over and over again, the line just beat on you, right? And having that depth, asking your friends to come out and then get them in the weight room in the offseason, I think is the biggest thing.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference. And, as your underclassmen grow up and become your leaders, they need to continue to be that for you. So it's important that you build that. I'll tell you what, though, for 2024, there's nothing like baptism by fire. You guys open up with Salamanca.
Yeah.
The defending Class C Section 6 champions and state runner-up.
Yeah.
And, they returned a lot of talent. Of Class C South, they returned probably the most talent. So tell me how that affects your preseason and how you guys are getting ready for your season and what that game means to you guys.
Yeah, I think as far as preseason-wise, it's a go right now, right? We're trying to get as far ahead as we can before we get into camp with install so we can hit the ground running for preparations week 1. Listen, they're well coached. They have a ton of talent, right? But I think nothing could kickstart off a playoff run with beating the defending division champion. They're going to be a test. you're going into their house, right? It's going to be packed. Always a great environment over there. We're looking forward to the challenge for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting start to the season. And I mentioned that the C South is definitely different than it was before. C in general, a lot of graduations, a lot of teams changing of the guard throughout the entire class. So as we look at that, yeah, you guys made the Funk Bowl playoffs last year. What's the next step for your program to get to those, Section 6 playoff and potentially Section 6 playoff championship?
Yeah, I think believing, right? We graduated 2 guys last year as far as starters. Having those 10th graders have a whole year of starting in Class C, which again, there is no off week, right? There is no bye week. I think these guys are ready to go. I think athlete-wise, we match up with every single team we're going to see, right? The challenges to the big fellas, right? A lot of them have been game tested. How do they show it on Friday nights to contend for a title? Because at the end of the day, Class C South football is won at the defensive and offensive line of scrimmage.
I couldn't agree more. Last question for you tonight. With only those 2 seniors that you had graduating, you're uniquely positioned to improve dramatically with all those guys going in the weight room and all the things that we already talked about. Yeah. Which players do you see as key to your season going forward?
Yeah, so on the offense and defensive line, Mason Maring is the anchor on both sides of the ball. He's started for us since he was a freshman, right? So he got baptized by fire because out of necessity, but I think it's made him grow as a leader. He's went through a lot of tough times with the program. And then we have Izan Abu Maiden, who's coming back as our center. This will be his 3rd year starting. Trent Hauser, this is his 3rd year starting. So although we're kind of young there still, we're a couple seniors and mostly juniors on the offensive line. They've got a lot of games under their belt. And then we got our quarterback back, right? Braden Gibbs comes back. Junior year, looking for big things there. Carson Fairbank, Asher Olson, who was on the Post-Journal All-Star team, right? Guys who bring it every single Friday. And then we got a couple guys that have came back, which I'll let the guys see when they come out on the field. But we got a couple guys that came back that can really make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of those guys you mentioned are the ones that we're covering in the preview. But also Mason Maring made our list of, top guys to watch on the line this year. Yeah. It's a tribute to him and his hard work, but it's also a tribute to the program that you guys are building. So congratulations on that. Keep it going, and I look forward to talking to you as the season goes on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thanks, man.
So I'm here at Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton, and here are a couple of the players. Going to go around and let them introduce themselves.
Braden Gibbs, quarterback, class of 26.
Asher Olson, middle linebacker, class of 26.
Izan Abu Maiden, defensive end and center, class of 25.
All right, so gentlemen, you guys have a team that's coming off a 4-6 season. You guys are really young last year, only had 2 seniors on the squad. We saw continuous improvement, growth, and Coach just told me in the interview that you guys spent a lot of time in the offseason getting better. So first question to you, what is it going to take to get to the next level on this team, to get you guys to the Section 6 playoffs? And I know you went to the Funk Bowl playoffs last year, but that next step, what's it going to take?
We just got to, be a team, come together. Last year we were really apart from each other, and we were young as well too, so we just didn't have much experience.
Sure. Yeah, and I think, as you guys come together, and I know, in talking to Coach and talking to some other folks, they saw it in the off-season workouts. I saw it tonight, in your practice. It looked like you guys really starting to kind of be very cohesive and be one unit, so that's really exciting. Looking at Section 6 Class C South, okay? Southwestern had a lot of kids leave and graduate. 1 kid transferred to St. Francis. Fredonia had a bunch of kids graduate. Portville had kids graduate, quite a few kids graduate. It's a different Class C South than it was last year. You guys have an opportunity to really kind of step into it and get in the mix. You open up against the one team who didn't graduate a bunch of kids and kept a lot of their talent, Salamanca. Tell me how exciting it is to start the season with that big challenge.
It's a great way to start the season, and it's a great way to test how our team's going to be different from last year, and hopefully that it's a different outcome this year.
Absolutely, and I think you can't overlook anybody, and certainly not defending state runner-up. But you guys are well placed to have a good battle with them. It's going to be a fun one to watch. And then the last question I'm going to ask you guys: what makes Chautauqua Lake special? I know things have changed a lot around here. It's not the same program as it was 3 or 4 years ago. The cohesiveness is here. You guys were just talking about that, but also your youth program coming up through. It seems like there's a big connection, and everybody's kind of coming together from the youth right up to the varsity. So, what is special about Lake?
I'd say we just don't quit, and we just keep going no matter our struggles. And yeah.
Okay. Best of luck to each of you.
And now to the final team of this preview show, the CSP Wolfpack.
And when we talk about the Wolfpack, we talk about unfinished business. First thing that's been said by every member of that community since they lost to Tioga last year in the state semifinals was, we're not done yet. We're going to make another run next year, and we're ready to work. This year, they'll be led by that group of 4 seniors that are just absolutely incredible athletes: Carter Brink, Bryce Hinsdale, Alex Barmore, and Tate Katniss. But they'll have to do it without some seniors that left last year that were very, very good, like John Watson, who is a heart and soul kind of guy, and it's really hard to replace someone like that. They'll have to have people step up, and Colin Ryan is the first one I can think of on the defensive side who will have to step into those shoes of John Watson's and be the emotional leader of the team. As far as CSP's schedule, they open at the New York State Class C champion Waverly in Week 1. Then they'll return home in Week 2 to host Randolph, before going on the road in Week 3 against Gowanda Pine Valley, and on the road in Week 4 against Franklinville-Ellicottville. CSP then returns home to face Lackawanna in Week 5 and Lakeshore in Week 6, and Wilson in Week 7, before finishing their season at Cattaraugus Little Valley in Week 8. And, that's an interesting schedule that Ty Harper put together for the Wolfpack at Waverly to start the season. That's certainly a measuring stick to see how good this team really is going to be. But Lackawanna Week 5, that's a huge, daunting matchup as well. They're a very, very good program, and CSP is going to have their work cut out for them in that game. Another exciting season in Class D for the Wolfpack, and they will do everything in their power to end up at the top once again. And now we're heading out to CSP camp to visit with the defending Class D Section 6 champs and the state semifinalists last year, the CSP Wolfpack. I'm here with CSP coach Ty Harper. Ty, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
I got a couple questions for you. We'll start with this one. So last year, the season ended with a state semifinal loss. You had 15 seniors graduate. You planned a very difficult 2024 schedule. The Class D is consistently getting more and more competitive every single year. So all these things stack up to provide a bunch of resistance to your Wolfpack this season. Tell me what the team did this offseason to offset these challenges.
Well, that's a great question. Every year we try and make things as competitive as possible for our players. I think this program over the years has shown that competition breeds success, and we want to play the most competitive teams that we possibly can. Last year we scheduled Southwestern, Faulkner, Cassadaga, and Salamanca as non-league games. All of those teams were very good and well coached. So we felt like that prepared us for our playoff run. And this year is no different. The opportunity was presented to me back in, I think, March to play Waverly Week 1. Thankfully our section was really agreeable. Jay Sirianni did a great job of helping to set that up. And I just think it's good for not just Section 6. I think it's good for New York State football for the best teams to play each other. Our program's been successful over the course of the last 10 years. Waverly obviously is coming off a Class C state championship. So I think that benefits both programs to play each other Week 1. As far as the other non-league games that we're playing, Lackawanna is generally a very good program. They produce a lot of good athletes out of the Buffalo area. Lakeshore is a bigger school. I think that their coach does a really nice job with their off-season program, and they're generally a pretty competitive team as well. So we feel like anytime we're able to challenge ourselves, that's only going to make us better, especially when it comes time for the state playoffs.
Absolutely, and I think, you got to the Waverly question, and that certainly is one of the big ones that everyone's kind of answering for you.
Sure.
It's one of those things where you want to prove that you can beat the best, you got to schedule the best and play the best. So, really kind of an interesting challenge, especially to start the season. I think everyone's pretty excited to see that one and see how CSP can handle Waverly. You had some really special seniors last year. But you also have some really, really special seniors this year, including Alex Barmore and all those guys. Mm-hmm. Barmore with a D1 offer already. You got probably 5 or 6 other guys who are going to get college offers. We know the names, right? We know Tate, and we know Carter Brink and those guys. But who has improved the most this offseason, and who should I keep my eye on that I wouldn't think of necessarily as those top 3 or 4 guys?
Yeah, great question again. That's an easy one. That's Colton Rhodes. He's had just an incredible offseason for us. He broke our program squat record. He squatted 500 pounds. he's just an incredible physical condition right now, and he's a kid that didn't get a ton of time last year as a junior, and it's a credit to him, and I think it's a credit to the culture that we've built here. Kids want to get on the field, they want to improve, they want to play a significant role, and if they don't have that opportunity, maybe as a sophomore or a junior, they work hard and make themselves physically better. So we're counting on Colton for sure, definitely on the offensive side of the ball on our offensive line, and I think he could probably see some snaps on defense as well. So Colton Rhodes is a guy to keep an eye on. Blaine Ramahi is another guy that we're going to count on. Maybe didn't get a lot of snaps last year as a junior. He's gotten a lot stronger physically, and we're expecting him to start on our offensive line. I think there's a handful of guys that are going to be maybe people that aren't household names yet, but will be by the end of the season.
That's great to hear, and it's that's a tribute to the culture. And actually, that leads into my next question. And I will say, bear with me; it's a little bit of a long one.
No problem.
So taking a look at Section 6, there are 6 other co-op programs in the South Counties of Section 6. Removing FE from that, okay, looking at the other 5, those programs have a combined winning percentage of 45%, with 22 losing seasons out of 26 possible seasons. In comparison, CSP is 61-21, 74% win percentage, and only 1 losing season. That was that first year. So all that says, is there something in the water here, or what have you guys done to build this co-op into something special that overcomes that cohesiveness problem and the participation evenly from different schools within the co-op and things like that? How have you guys overcame that?
Yeah, well, I think it starts and ends with the kids. We've been extremely fortunate over the last 10 years to just have a tremendous group of kids. You see now, a lot of the household names within our program are siblings of kids that we've had in the past. But I think success breeds success. I think, we worked really hard to get the program off the ground initially, and that first season we weren't super successful in terms of wins and losses, but I think we built a foundation for a successful culture, and I think year after year, kids come back wanting to uphold the standard that's been set by the kids that have come before them. I can't speak for other programs. I don't know how those programs run or what's asked of those kids in the off season, but I know that we do ask a lot of our kids in the off season, and they work really hard at it. And once the season starts, generally speaking, when we ask our kids to do certain things, they work really hard to do those things. So I think it does kind of start and end with the kids, and they deserve the majority of the credit for that. But yeah, we've tried to cultivate an environment that's competitive. I think that at the root of any good program, you've got competition. Our kids work hard. They want to be the best. And again, they want to meet the standard of the kids that have come before them. So it's really just a tribute to the kids over the course of the last 10 years. And you know what, my coaching staff does a great job. They work super hard, and hopefully we can continue that this season.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to see the commitment all the way down through the levels. Your modified squad has a ton of kids. Just last year you had a ton of kids. This year you have a ton of kids. You have a strong JV program, which some schools in the area can't field JV and modified. Definitely. So it's definitely a tribute to you and your coaching staff as well.
Well, I appreciate that.
But thank you, Coach, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be back out to bother you before the season's over, I promise.
Sounds good. Go Wolfpack.
A great interview there from Coach Harper. And now we have Carter Brink and Alex Barmore as well. I'm here with Carter Brink from CSP. Carter, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. So the first question I want to ask you is, I take a look at your roster and it's full of big names. It's full of kids that we talk about, week in and week out that are kind of, either putting up big stats or setting records or getting college scholarships or, getting looks from colleges. What have you done personally to differentiate yourself so you can be a part of this roster that makes a big impact this season?
I think one of the biggest impacts that I've had, and just, obviously, there's always the physical aspect of it, but also the mental, being a leader out there and helping the younger players, live up to our expectations as players, and
Yeah, absolutely. Just being a leader, absolutely. Yep. So you got a difficult schedule ahead. I take a look at the schedule and you see Waverly, you see Lackawanna, and of course all the Class D schools that are continuously getting better every year. What is, looking at that schedule, what does that make you think about? And, are you excited to see a schedule like that?
Yeah, definitely. In order for us to have our goal, definitely to complete our goal at the Syracuse Dome, you got to have some tough competition. You got to come in every week and prepare for the better teams and not just know that you're going to kill everyone. You gotta definitely prepare for these harder teams.
Absolutely. And, along those lines, you talk about your end goal, and, Coach Harper and the other coaches have used a slogan this year to motivate you guys. A lot of coaches use slogans. It's nothing new, but this slogan that they use this year seems the whole team's really bought into. And the slogan's unfinished business. So what does unfinished business mean to you? And what are you doing this season to try to accomplish that goal?
Unfinished business. Like when I was younger, we would always be the water boys on the sidelines, watching the older people complete all these goals, win state championships. And unfinished business, I think, to us means we have those guys, we have the people in this room that do it, and we just got to go and get it done. And what we've done this off season, the guys, we've all been in the weight room, we've all been doing going to kinder, we've all been just going to these little workouts, and helped us a lot to prepare for the season.
Good to hear. Well, best of luck this season.
Appreciate
I'm looking
it.
forward to talking to you guys later on as the season goes on.
All right.
And, have fun out there.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
I'm here with Alex Barmore from CSP. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So, Alex, look at your roster. There's a whole bunch of big names on the roster, and you guys have guys that contribute week in and week out. You guys put up big stats, and it's just a different guy every week, it seems like. So, some of those guys have colleges, knocking on the door. You yourself, congratulations on a recent scholarship offer from a Division I program.
Thank you.
And, what have you done personally this offseason to contribute to the Wolfpack success above and beyond just, the occasional, stat line or whatever?
Something I've been doing to try to get better and try to work hard to win state championships this year is working out every day, getting my quarterback, my team, the rest of the team, just meeting up for summer sessions, summer workouts, and trying to get all the young players and all the players at the summer workouts and try to get better and build the chemistry now. So in the fall, we're ready to go.
Unity is definitely a theme with this program. There's no doubt about that. So it's good to see that from their leaders. As you look at the schedule ahead, it looks pretty difficult. I see Lackawanna off in the distance, and you guys open up with the Class C defending state champions, Waverly. And by the way, Class D is no joke, right? They keep getting better every year. So, you guys have a tough schedule. Is it something you're looking forward to? And what do you do to prepare for a schedule like that?
Yeah, I'm excited. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and so iron sharpens iron. And I'm just excited to have some hard competition. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna go in every week and try to get 1% better every day, and just take it 1 week at a time, and hopefully win it all.
Great to hear. Last question, and it's, it goes along with the theme that we kind of have here. We're talking about your program and what kind of program you guys have. A lot of coaches use slogans to try to motivate their team. Some of them work, some of them don't. Coach Harper and the staff came up with the slogan, unfinished business, this year. And from everything I can tell, everybody bought into this slogan full bore. So tell me what it means to you and what are you doing this offseason to get ready to fulfill that kind of goal?
Yeah, it means a lot. Like what Carter said, a lot of us have brothers that were on the two state championship teams years in a row, and who are all managers or young kids looking up to them. So last year, obviously, we didn't get there, didn't get the job done. So it's unfinished business. We gotta go in every day with a winning mindset and know that we can do it and just go do it.
Great.
Excited.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. Best of luck this season. Look forward to talking to you later on in the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Coach Harper and the CSP players who spoke with us while we were at their picnic earlier this camp season. That wraps up. We took a look at 3 Southern Chautauqua teams, Chautauqua Lake, Westfield, Brocton, Southwestern, and CSP. Took a look at what the season is going to look like for those programs, and we were happy to have an opportunity to interview all 3 of those teams as part of this preview show. Thank you for listening to this show, and let's get ready for some football. One last thing, finish your blocks.